Kim was my invisible friend, except that she wasn't. I never spoke to her, never talked about her to anyone. All I did was name her and decide she was there. I forgot her at home or at school. If she had been a Tamagotchi, her little electronic soul would have died of neglect. I have no idea what she looked like. What I did know was that little kids were supposed to have invisible friends. The abnormal action of relating to the invisible was so encouraged by child psychologists that I felt abnormal not having one of my own. So there we were, the cat, the blankie, and the invisible spirit. I hadn't thought of any of this until a year ago when I was on a flight and the complimentary blanket was called a sky blanket. I said it involuntarily. Sky blankie speech, Kim. I had almost forgotten. It's so clear to me now, the memorizing of a fake prayer, the symbolization of objects, the struggle to relate to the invisible. I needed a religion. I was lost. I was in a remote Native American-themed chick commune in New Hampshire. I was in danger. The pinnacle of said danger came during the last week of July. That's when we had Christmas, and I, a 9-year-old Jew, found myself catching the Christmas-time spirit. We had Hanukkah, too, of course. The camp directors lit a menorah for the 8 nights and put it on their table in the mess hall, which was called Cracker Barrel. Years later, when I discovered that there was a national restaurant chain by the same name, I became highly irritated that a piece of my cultish sanctuary was available to every trucker on I-95. If you ask my fellow ex-campers, I'd bet good money that they had the same reaction. That's the kind of place this was. Just like in real time, Hanukkah began a week or so before Christmas. And, just like in real time, it served as more of a signifier that Christmas was coming than a holiday unto itself. The camp's directors put a couple of electronic menorahs, the Jewish equivalent of a string of Budweiser cans, in the dining hall. Still, they were easy to miss. One of the bigger mistakes that the Jews ever made was having these skinny candles represent Hanukkah, because that's what happened. It became a thin holiday, while Christmas has a whole glazed ham on its bones. Technically, we have more of a right to our candles than, say, a Douglas fir, dressed in drag and humiliated with fairy lights, represents the birth of Christ. There is a direct correlation with the story of Hanukkah and the long-burning oil. I think Eastern Mountain Sports sells it to campers now. Yet was there a giant pine tree in the middle of the desert on Jesus' birthday? "Here, Jesus," says Joseph, "I saw this and thought of you." But oh, to have Christmas in July. We lived all summer for it. Christmas consisted of 7 days of Secret Santa, during which I invariably got the smelly kid who loved to give crafts, or had to give to one of the European girls who lacked a palate for fun dip. The week ended with the Christmas play that Sunday. The play told the story of the life of Christ, complete with hay from the horse stables, bunnies from the barn, and fake blood from Halloween in June. We were allowed to forego our uniforms and come to the play in flannel pajamas and totes toasties socks. Afterward, we sang Lord-praising carols and lit more candles than usual, which should have made me extremely nervous. All those brown pine needles and birch benches. But it didn't. I figured Jesus would protect me. Then we drank hot chocolate and exchanged our final gifts purchased during rare excursions into civilization. These would be matching pajama sets or clever coffee mugs filled with candy and pencils. Across the bustling room, a profoundly good-natured teenager from Madrid gave her own Game Boy and a bottle of Chanel No. 5 as her final gift. I accepted my pipe cleaner anklet as graciously as possible. It was the Christian thing to do. In 1989, the summer I turned 10, there was a girl who lived in my cabin, a girl from Darien, Connecticut, with long, wavy blonde hair, who was set to play Mary in the Christmas play. She had also been the recipient of the Madrid girl's gift, the Secret Santa jackpot. Perhaps if I'd had God in my life growing up, I would have been able to understand the total and complete unfairness of the universe rewarding mean girls. I had befriended other wavy blonde bunkmates before, but this girl was new to camp, and I hated her on sight. She used to stand in the middle of the cabin and flip her hair upside down, combing it from the neck down, a habit which I found bizarrely unsanitary. She wore pearl earrings while swimming in the lake and slept beneath a Ralph Lauren comforter. She used Skin So Soft instead of Off, and she wore Esprit bathing suits instead of the regulation Army-Navy surplus store ones. In her monogrammed caboodle, she had a sticker collection that would make grown women weep. She was mean to the ugly girls, the flat-chested girls, and most of the Spanish girls. Not a wise move, as one of them would turn out to be the niece of that country's president. She went to boarding school in Connecticut, and I knew that she represented the end of my childhood. Within the next few years, the camp would double the cost for an 8-week stay. They would do away with the regulation uniforms and the puke green one-piece swimsuits, of which we all owned 3, like a troop of Smurfettes with the same dress on every hanger. Eventually, campers would be allowed to watch television, call home, and bare their midriffs. Girls would no longer be asked to address their counselors as Ms. Cell phones would blink in the night along with the lightning bugs, and field day would be recorded live for the new website.